I'm Colleen Marshall. We want to thank you for joining us as we take the time to honor the impact of Black history on our entire community.
I'm Kerry Charles. Faced with difficulties and discouragement, tonight we introduce you to people whose hopeful determination created jobs, built businesses, and look for ways to pay it forward, even today.
And we begin with a living legacy started more than a century ago. We all know what a moving company does. Pick this up here, move it somewhere else. But here in Columbus, the E.E. Ward Moving and Storage Company is doing something else. It is a living 140-year legacy, the legacy of a man who took some risks and then built a dream.
John T. Ward got his start he was a conductor on the Underground Railroad, so he used his horses and wagon to help transport slaves to freedom in the North.
When you were a conductor on the Underground Railroad, you were risking your life to give other people a new life.
After the emancipation, and he said, you know, I was able to transport people. Maybe I can transport other things, commodities, goods.
With his son William, John T. Ward started the E.E. Ward Moving and Storage Company, landing a few government contracts.
And then from there, it just spawned to where, you know, hey, John T., can you move this piano? Can you move this safe? And it just became, you know, something that the family was able to adapt and became very good at moving things. You know, pianos. I mean, the company had one of the largest contracts with Steinway Piano and moved over 1 million pianos.
The company grew, and it's been in operation since 1881.
Which makes us the oldest continuously operating African-American owned company in the country.
The company was in the Ward family until Brian Brooks and his wife Dominique bought it 20 years ago from the great-grandson of the founder, Eldon Ward.
I do have a connection to Eldon. My father was an attorney and a judge in Columbus, and he was actually Eldon's attorney for over 20 years. And so my mother and father became really good friends with Elsie and Eldon Ward. And they actually asked Eldon to be my godfather. So, you know, he was my godfather. He used to take me swimming many mornings, early morning at the East Side YMCA, which is now the Eldon and Elsie Ward family YMCA. He actually helped get that built.
The Brooks are ever conscious of the fact that they are tending to a legacy company that even during a pandemic, they've got to keep strong.
This past year, we've seen business take it really hard on the chin, so to speak, with what's happened with the pandemic. And we've seen so much change in the business environment. It's painful sometimes, but it's also, there's lessons being learned right now. So that's really the focus is just strengthening ourselves internally to be able to weather changes and challenges as they come about.
E.E. Ward was founded on the challenge of the Underground Railroad. It represents the dream of a man who led slaves to freedom. It's a story that's shared across the country, and Brooks sometimes hears from those who are inspired by the bravery of John T. Ward.
And they'll leave a voice message. Hey, I heard your story. I read this article. I own a barbershop. I am so inspired. I can't wait to go to work today because I heard the story about E.E. Ward and the legacy of John T. Ward. So that's what gives us the goosebumps.
What a legacy there. Well, an area of Columbus that's often forgotten dates back to 1865. Today we call it a low-income neighborhood, but Flytown was home, a place of happiness for so many, a source of refuge for immigrants and blacks escaping the Jim Crow South. The community tucked away just northwest of downtown. Thousands of people drive through it each and every day.
I-670, it's a popular east-west thoroughfare in Columbus. In a roundabout way, the interstate is connected to generations of people who call the capital city home.
The city of Columbus took these photographs and then later put these in reports to show people that we needed to pass a bond levy to get this money to take out these neighborhoods.
The 1956 city-commissioned Slum Clearance and Rehabilitation Commission report declared areas like this one a slum. At points, African Americans made up half of the people who lived in Flytown. The report declared the slums must go, said they cost too much for the city.
The boundaries would roughly be the Olentangy River to the west side, Spruce Street to the south side, Denison Avenue to the east side, and Goodale to the north side.
What is Flytown? Why is it important, and why should people know about it?
Sure, yeah. Flytown is actually one of the most important neighborhoods in Columbus. 1874 is the first time I actually saw a reference to it in newspapers. And it was an area of industry and a part of town by the rail yards.
Important for blacks leaving the South. Upon their arrival, they could find work.
Why is it called Flytown?
Two schools of thought. Usually when you get these sort of things, it's called Flytown because of the insects that were there, because there was a slaughterhouse. I've heard that before. Or it's called Flytown because the houses flew up overnight because the companies need to build housing for their workers.
The community eventually cleared for urban development. The project called the Goodell Redevelopment Plan. Part of it includes the Goodell Expressway, which would later become I-670.
Mid-1950s to the early 70s is when we really were building highways.
But a huge portion of the people affected were those low-income immigrants,
sure, yeah.
people of color, African Americans, in those neighborhoods.
For sure, yeah. The people that really didn't have a political voice.
Today, a marker in Goodell Park teaches people about Flytown. 670 is a connector to the past and to those who came to Columbus looking for a better life, like my grandfather. He migrated from the South in the early 50s. The interstate eventually took over the house he shared with his brother before going back for the rest of the family.
Flytown had a large black population, but 17 known nationalities lived in the community. When all were displaced, the government found housing for them in other parts of the city. Even today, Flytown reunions are still held in Goodell Park, and that's 670. You know, I drive through there thinking about the connection, and I go, you know, my grandfather came here years ago, and now this interstate.
And the thing is, that Flytown area, it was a neighborhood. It was a community of people who knew each other. When it was wiped out, everybody was scattered to different areas. So it really did kind of put an end to that cultural spot.
Yeah, and the folks said, hey, we might have been poor, but we were happy.
Yeah. Well, as we continue to honor Black history, our Brad Johansson introduces us to some of the people who helped shape Central Ohio.
Well, there's a saying, if you want to know where you are, you better know where you came from. What is now usually referred to as the Near East Side of Columbus was founded as Bronzeville.
Bronzeville was the first free community for African Americans in Ohio. NBC4's Brad Johansson introduces us to some people you should know about.
When an African American migrated to Ohio, Ohio was a free state. It was a free opportunity for African Americans.
And there were three men that took that opportunity and ran with it, starting with David Jenkins, who came to Columbus from Virginia.
He worked under the Underground Railroad. He owned a newspaper. He established schools. He was a part of the politics of Columbus.
His civil rights paper, Palladium of Liberty, was established in 1843 as part of his national efforts to bring slaves to freedom.
It is one of the communities that was in the 1940s that was established as the first project in the nation.
That project, named after James Poindexter, has now become a small museum in the area honoring the man who owned a barber shop at 61 High Street, planted and pastored what still exists as the Second Baptist Church.
If you want to know anything about Columbus, Ohio history, this church has it all.
And Poindexter became the first African American on the Columbus School Board, then passing the torch to James Albert Jackson.
He helped establish Bronzeville.
Jackson was a builder, a seed shop owner, then a grocer.
So his idea was, we need something of our own.
And he helped do it.
When blacks were being charged extra to go to the theater and sit only in the balcony, Jackson built his own, the Empress and then the Lincoln, that once featured a 4-year-old Sammy Davis Jr. and now flourishes again in 2021 under the direction of Susan Bradford Kunta.
He was just that type of guy that understood the value of community, but understood also being a teacher.
When Rita lived there in the 70s and 80s,
when I was growing there, it was what we call the hood.
Now, she proudly calls it Bronzeville, with 2 centuries of history to be honored and remembered.
From the people to the place, when we return, our Monica Day shares the history of this community developed out of desperation. It is seeing a revival today.
In the 1920s and 30s, Bronzeville was home to about 70,000 people in 2 square miles east of downtown. It was the community Brad was talking about, born out of necessity, determination, and the American dream. But time took a toll on the neighborhood. As Monica Day tells us today, there is a resurgence that can be clearly felt and seen.
It was an environment that had everyone working together for economic stability. We had a hospital, we had residential buildings, we had commercial buildings that were built and designed and implemented and managed by African Americans from this community.
At a time when banks were not lending money to African Americans, Bronzevillians started their own bank.
The people in the neighborhood said, well, you know what, forget downtown. Let us do our own thing. And then they created the Adelphi Savings and Loans building to facilitate the residents having a resource if they wanted to build a building or renovate something. They were doing so well that the city of Columbus was putting some of their deposits in the Adelphi Bank. They were determined to be equal, and that was also extended into the theaters as well. They were tired of going downtown, had to go in the back. The Lincoln was second to none as far as downtown or even down in New York City. It was first class. And they say it may have been smaller, but it was first class because they said that no, we're not second-class citizens here.
With East High School, there was no shortage of sports heroes to provide pride for the neighborhood, while the local churches played a huge role in civil rights.
Shiloh Baptist Church, Second Baptist Church, Trinity Baptist Church, all the big churches were all, Union Grove. All those churches were part of the consciousness, and that they played a very key role in keeping the neighborhood moving forward economically, socially, and politically.
But in the 50s and 60s, things started to change.
First was the Brown versus Board of Education. Now people can live and move in other places.
Then the Highways Act brought 71 straight through the community.
Then the third and final blow was urban renewal. When that came in here, over 110 acres were leveled, over 20,000 people were moved out. At that point, it left a big vacuum.
Gangs and drugs moved in, but with a location like Bronzeville, it was only a matter of time before things turned around.
You can't be this close and be down all the time. It's just not good for the city. We have over $100 million just in residential development. And when this is all done, you're going to have an additional about 2,000 people coming to this area within this 1 square mile. It's significant for the economic engine. As president of the Bronzeville Neighborhood Association, we are driving the bus. We don't care who gets on the bus as long as we're driving the bus in the direction that's beneficial to everyone that comes here.
And they're taking a holistic approach, focusing on the health of residents, job training, partnerships for the high school, and community engagement.
If you don't have people engaged, you will not get any representation. You will get whatever they decide for you.
Maintaining Bronzeville's rich history is also vital to its future success.
It's hard to have self-esteem if you don't understand the history. It also inspires the young people to say, this is what we want to do.
Well, education is also inspiring young men and women. When we come back, Darlene Hill looks into the reason why enrollment is growing at historically black colleges and universities.
There is a lot of pride on the campuses of historically black colleges and universities. It's because of Vice President Kamala Harris. She graduated from Howard University, the school located in the heart of Washington, D.C.
Enrollment is up. There are 100 HBCUs all across the country, 2 of them in Ohio, Wilberforce and CSU, Central State University.
You know, you feel this cultural connection.
It's not just a place of higher education filled with students and professors. For Kevin Carter, one of my colleagues here at NBC4, Wilberforce was so much more.
When I stepped on the campus, I can remember freshman week, you know, we had a big meeting in the auditorium and I could just feel so much pride, and I could just feel that the instructors really wanted me to succeed and they were really vested in my success. And from that moment on, I knew that I was where I was supposed to be.
I went for a boy. I fell in love with somebody, and he went to Central State, and we were gonna be in love, get married, and live happily ever after. So that's why I chose Central State.
Lolita Augenstein says the HBCU experience is different. She grew up right here in Columbus, graduated from high school with honors. No one in her family went off to college, so she said she had to. Lolita says She didn't have to attend a HBCU, but she ended up at Central State University in Xenia because they gave her a scholarship.
But when I got to Central State, I think that was the first time that I loved being Black. You know, because I saw all these other Black people from different walks of life doing different things, and they were beautiful.
University presidents say enrollment at HBCUs is increasing since the death of George Floyd and since Kamala Harris was elected vice president.
HBCUs have always done well. It's just that now we're in the limelight.
Students want to reconnect with their roots and be part of the excellence and the success stories that just keeps on oozing out of these schools.
It's that family kind of environment, that atmosphere that we want to make sure that our students, we recruit our students, that they have a good experience then, and that they have a good experience because we are a student-centered university. But we want to see them graduate and go on into graduate and professional schools or into their careers.
When we return, we meet a woman doing everything she can to make sure our young people today develop into the leaders of tomorrow.
Tonight, as we honor Black history, we also look ahead toward the future. After all, it will be the next generation that leads the way.
Dr. Tina Pierce is an advocate for young people in Central Ohio, helping give them the tools they need to succeed, just like they were given to her. Matt Barnes has her story.
For Dr. Tina Pierce, becoming a leader in the community was never really a choice.
From 6th grade on, it was a requirement with my mom that you had to volunteer. You had to give back in some shape, way, or form. So after 5th grade ended, all my friends are like, oh, I'm going to the pool for the summer. I'm doing all this cool stuff. And my mom's like, I signed you up to be a volunteer at COSI. That's what you're going to do this summer.
Dr. Pierce works at the John Glenn College of Public Affairs at The Ohio State University, the same university her grandparents worked at as janitors decades ago.
Every time I come on this campus, I just feel like I'm living out their wildest dreams. I would just look at my grandparents and be like, man, y'all should be here. We're going to get here. Watch, I'm going to be a student here, and I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to get a degree.
She did more than that. She got 4 of them and is putting them all to good use, leading the charge in developing the young leaders of tomorrow. This past year, she was elected to the Columbus City Schools Board of Education. As a proud Beechcroft graduate, her goal is simple: make sure students have a path to success available to them.
What I saw was this disconnect with students having the opportunity to hone and advance, to grow their leadership skills. And so for me, that defining element came at Ohio State.
And so, with the blessing of her family, she decided to turn her yearly salary as a board member into scholarships. The applicants must be CCS graduates enrolled at Ohio State with a 3.0 GPA and proof of being active in their community.
I'm excited about what young people will do and what I want to use the next couple of years while, you know, I'm blessed to be in a position and serve our community, is to advance the conversation with the elders in the community to mentor these young people, open up doors for them, give them an opportunity, let the reins loose a little bit so young people can begin to do the work that our country needs them to do. It just all connects to, I think, the values that my grandparents instilled in all of us, that my mother instilled in me, and that's to give back, you know, to help the community.
What a great story. Yeah. The cycle of good continues thanks to Dr. Tina Pierce and so many more.
It was such a pleasure getting to know some of these people, listen to their stories, share even the pride.
And we thank you for being with us. Have a great night.